Who do I look down on? Who do I look up to? Who am I better than? You want to destroy a relationship? You use those tools. Here are the tools you're supposed to use. Think of yourself as sober judgment. You're all equal. All of you are equal. And yeah, some of you might have positions in your everyday life that you may think of low positions. There were slaves in their... I mean, how much lower do you go? Of course, amongst the slaves, there were different categories of slaves, and they could look down on other slaves. Oh, I'm a household slave. Oh, I work in the fields. Low positions, humble positions. He said, don't even think about that. Don't even think about that. Associate with everybody. You are in a relationship workshop. You are learning things today about relationships. Unless you got it all figured out. Everybody's got it figured out. I can get up and leave now. I'll give you a couple minutes. You got your relationship with your wife figured out? You got your relationship with your husband figured out? You got your relationship with your children figured out? You think about that. Bring them home for 5 weeks. We just put Luke on a plane yesterday. You got it figured out? Do you have relationships figured out? No. Do you need tools? Do you need to sharpen your tools? I mean, I can look at each one of these tools. All right, that's like saying, okay, let's look at a hammer. Here's what you do with a hammer. Hate what is evil. Cling to, those are tools, right? You could all call day to hammer, but you better learn how to use that tool in a relationship. You better learn how to use these tools in your relationships this morning. If you look down on anybody here, if you're unwilling to associate with anybody here, you have a serious spiritual problem. If you are willing to not associate with somebody because you think they're better than you, then you have a serious spiritual problem. And here's where it's going to show up when we take the Lord's Supper this morning. That's where it's going to show up. Who's worthy, who's not worthy? Who really needs it, who doesn't need it? We all need the sacrifice of Jesus. You associate with people of low position. You hate what is evil. Well, we go on all day long about this, okay? I mean, each one of these we could build a whole series of sermons on. Well, we know what's evil in our society. Let me just tell you this. Anything that damages people is evil. Anything that damages people is evil. And you need to hate it. That's a pretty passionate word, isn't it? And if you see something in this church that damages people, you need to hate it. If you see something in your behavior, in your attitude towards people that's damaging, if you see something here that makes this not a safe place to grow spiritually, you need to hate it. You need to hate it. With a passion. There needs to be some passion behind it. Not like, well, I hope they really get better about that. It's been like that for 35 years and we're hoping eventually it'll go away. No. You need to say, listen, there are people that don't feel comfortable coming in this door because of the way we treat them. We need to quit treating them like that. You need to hate it. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another. Why? Because this workshop is it's all you've got, guys. It's all you've got. Well, I got my family. Yeah, you do have your family, right? How many talks like this can you have with your family? We have chosen to be together, haven't we? Some families don't have that special feeling. We have chosen, you have chosen to come into church with these people here. You've come to because you feel safe, because you feel loved, because you feel accepted, because maybe you feel challenged. But you've chosen to be here. And some of you chose to be here because you were raised here. Well, that's cool. It's been good for you the whole time. If it's not, hey. And if you're not growing here, why are you wasting your time? It's so weird because people think, I would have chosen this church if I wasn't raised here. If I happened to be one of those people driving by on Atlantic Boulevard, I'd just say, well, look at that church. I don't know if Tom. I'd just be drawn to this church. And I would find it, and it would be a great place, and it would be just that. No, probably not. I remember I was teaching a class at a college in West Virginia. And I asked them, I said, now, if you were raised in Iraq, how many of you would be Christians? And they all raised their hand. I said, what are you, nuts? Do you really think that's true? That if you were raised in a Muslim culture by Muslim parents, went to a Muslim school, that you would choose to be a Christian? How many of you actually chose the church that you've devoted yourself to? Or how many of you just kind of were born here? Remember we talked about the maternity rooms we have in the back? Okay. Here's a chance in a relationship workshop to choose a place that you can grow spiritually. And you can practice these skills, and you can pull these tools out, and you can sharpen them. And you can say things like, live in harmony with each other. Right? You know what harmony means? It means more than one note, doesn't it? What if everybody's singing the same note? Is that harmony? No. You remember the Beach Boys? That was harmony. Remember they learned how to do that in Baptist church where they grew up? Right? In churches, you're not all singing the same note. In life, you're not all living the same note. But you can do it in harmony instead of disharmony or discord. And if there's discord in this church, we need to hate it. We need to hate it because it's damaging. It's not going to allow someone to grow spiritually. We can look at each one of these. Don't be proud. Don't repay anyone evil for evil. Boy, isn't that tempting? Keep that scorecard. He said, guys, don't get into the revenge thing. Then he does this really Jewish thing. He says, be nice to them. Like heaping coals of fire on their head. I don't know what to do with that. I really don't. Okay? Maybe that's, I mean, come on. That's pragmatic, right? But isn't that a little vengeful? He said, just listen. Don't get into the revenge thing. Don't repay evil for evil. Don't get into the, I'm going to make the ground level. I'm going to bring this person down. He says, as far as possible, on your part, live at peace. You can't do both parts of that though, right? I mean, there are people that just don't want to live at peace. There are people that might be sitting here who just want conflict. Just want it. As far as you're concerned, you look for peace. Because the relationship is very important. And the relationship is an end in itself. What's really tempting when you look at things like this, you say, okay, man, if I do all of that, okay, I got sincere love now, I'm hating what is evil, I'm clinging what's good, I'm being devoted to one another, I'm doing that so I can overcome, I can grow. No, that's not what he's saying.